Center stage featuring Tokunbo Olajide, the 25-year-old younger brother of former middleweight contender Michael Olajide, 16-0 with 14 knockouts. We have seen Olajide on our air several times before. Last year he took on Leroy Edwards, round number 3. It was all over. Olajide showed the power that he has in both of his hands. Stepped up in class in November of last year against R.J. Carson, an 11-0 fight with 7 knockouts. He was no match, though, for Olajide's speed and power. In his last fight on Friday Night Fights in March in New York, Trevor Brown was the opponent. Trevor Brown was out. That came in round number 4. Olajide is ready to make some moves, but tonight he has to take on Gary Jones, fast hands, out of Washington, D.C. He wants the money at 19-1 and 8 knockouts. He is looking for a big fight, any fight that comes his way. In March of 2000 on ESPN2's Friday Night Fights, he was beating J.C. Candelo from pillar to post. He was ahead on all 3 judges' scorecards, but in round 9 he made a mistake. He ate a right hand. And the fight was over. Candelo got the win. Jones suffered the only loss of his professional career. In his last fight on February the 1st on ESPN2, he squared off against Sam Gar. Jones was coming off a 7-month layoff. It was a tight fight, but in the end, Jones would come up with the victory. Some at ringside thought it was a little closer than the judges had it, but Gary Jones took the win. He is ready to step up in class against the unbeaten Olajide, but he doesn't care about opponents.
If you know where you at, you ain't worried about the next man. You know what you coming to do. You know how you train, how you prepare. The other man, it really don't matter. You got to be the man to beat the man. And I'm the man, and he got to beat me. You know, that's how I'm looking at it. So no matter what he brings to the card table, we're ready.
I don't train for anything in particular, because what happens if on fight day, these specific things that you've trained for are not there? You know what I mean? What I practice on is I practice adjusting. I practice improvising. And I have a whole bunch of tools at my disposal with which to improvise.
As much money as he possibly can in this game and get out before he gets hurt. Jones started his career with Don King. According to Jones, King had him fight just 2 times in 2 years. He waited out for his contract to expire. But guess what? Since leaving Don King, he remains inactive at times. In the fight against Gar, he was coming off a 7-month layoff. Now he's coming off a 6-month layoff.
Make no doubt about it. Olajide, his strength is in his technique, and his technique is to counterpunch. He will look to lure Jones in and time him coming, preferably with that left hook. That is the punch of choice for Olajide. He has a terrific left hook.
He took out Trevor Brown back in March on ESPN2 with the left hook. The fight before that against Marvin Smith knocked him out with the left hook.
Jones has speed. Jones can see a slow jab from Olajide. Olajide sometimes does go with that jab instead of snapping it. He just places it out there as a rangefinder. If he does that for Jones to snap a quick right hand over a slow jab, Olajide lays back looking for counters. You can expect Jones to try to sometimes jump in, as he just did, and jump out. I believe Jones has to be careful in those spots when he's jumping in, that he doesn't jump into a counter shot from Olajide. Doesn't get time coming forward. Timing can erase speed, Bob.
Very much a feeling out process here in round 1, as both guys alluded to in our main event setup piece.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jones, unless he gets caught, would get a lead in this fight. Because Olajide can be a slow starter. He's a thinking man's fighter. And while he's thinking, sometimes he can put himself in a position where you can get off first.
And that fight we called against J.C. Candelo back in March of 2000, Jones was winning virtually every round against Candelo. And then right hand.
Yes, sir.
Olajide not in the range. Jones being careful. Maybe a slight edge for Jones in round number 1.
That jab out. Don't just pour with the jab. You pour with it, you might be counted by the speedy Jones.
So round number 2 underway in a nondescript first round, especially from Olajide's standpoint. Olajide in round number 1 just landed 2 punches. He was
Back up.
with his jab.
That's where Olajide must learn and improve. I'm sure his people are talking and teaching him. He's going to step up this boxing ladder. That's Olajide, who has good talent, good counter puncher. Must learn when the counters aren't there how to lead, like he's trying to do right now. How to use that jab to set up offense instead of waiting for the counter to create the offense. Sometimes those counters are not going to be there with particular opponents as you move forward in this boxing career.
You know, earlier you were talking about Marco Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales when you were talking with Brian Maxon. You had made the point that Barrera has become so much of a counterpuncher, and early in that second fight against Morales, he was waiting for the counterpunch, and before you know it, Morales was building up a lead.
Yes, fight that I thought Morales did have a lead, and I thought Morales won that fight very closely. A good point there, but you lay back and it depends on counters too much. You can leave yourself vulnerable. You can put yourself behind the 8 ball, where you could be out-hustled, out-worked, out-maneuvered. You can see what's going on here. Harry Jones, the faster man, normally would take more chances with his feet. He knows the press clippings of Olajide. Knows he's a good, powerful counterpuncher.
Watch your head, all right?
Good speed.
Yes, sir. He has good hand speed, too. Just doesn't put them together quite as much. So sometimes you can get the misperception that he's not fast. He's fast, Olajide. But Jones wants to be careful. Doesn't want to be reckless with his speed. Doesn't want to walk in that front door carelessly to get caught a left hook. Watch how he's feinting a little bit, trying to get Olajide to lead. That's exactly what Jones did right there. Jones is thinking he came here prepared with a fight plan. He's looking for the right times to punch when he doesn't leave himself open to a counter. Jones is thinking pretty good.
Slow pace, especially from Olajide. Here at ringside in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Bob Pop, Teddy Atlas, glad you could join us. ESPN2's Friday Night Fights, presented by Miller High Life. Tokunbo Olajide, Gary Jones underway. Round number 3. We take a look at the punch numbers in round number 2. Again, a very inactive round for Olajide. Earlier tonight, Mike Stewart knocked out Brad Jansen in the 3rd round. Prince Body Ajambi, unanimous decision against Alton Rice. John Cora knocked out Jason Jenkins. Jones goes down from a counter shot.
And from that left hook counter shot. The favorite punch, the bread and butter of the young and the stronger Olajide.
Come here.
So that's the problem for this fight, Bob, with Jones. Jones cannot afford to make mistakes. Olajide, having lost the first 2 rounds of leading to my scorecard, can make mistakes and still win this fight. Jones cannot, does not have the benefit of that erasing, that power.
Olajide coming in with 8 consecutive knockout victories. You know, in between rounds 2 and 3, Tommy Gallagher in the corner of Olajide said, hey, let's do a little basic stuff. Let's work the jab, throw the right hand, just do basic stuff, just to get yourself going a little bit. And Olajide was able to land that left.
And Olajide got a little help. Jones reached in, the left hook. Found it smart. So you can't make a mistake if you're Jones in this fight. You have to have a game plan, and you have to act on it and be disciplined to carry it out to precision. If you make a mistake, bam! Olajide will pull. Trick. Arm, punch. What Jones needs to do is mix up. Once in a while, get punches off, get to his highs. Once in a while, get Olajide, which he was doing the first 2 rounds. Get Olajide to lead, counterpunch to counterpuncher, keep Olajide off balance.
You know, it was interesting, too, the corner of Olajide just yelled out when he got in tight. Stay in the pocket. Stay right there. He's got no power. You could stay there and take a chance.
Absolutely. Good recognition by the corner of Olajide. New York trainer, Tommy Gallagher. Know your man's strengths. Know your man's weaknesses. Watch Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry. You will remember. Follow his house. Man must know.
Well, the story here in round number 3, Tokunbo Olajide dropping Gary Jones here in the 3rd round with his left hand. Gary Russell trained Jones when he was a youngster, and Jones was winning all those U.S. amateur titles. Round 4 has begun. Look at the power punches from round number 3. Olajide, 10 of 22, still quite economical in his punch output.
So this is the kind of fight for Jones to win. Have a chance to win, in my estimation. He needs to be ahead comfortably. Has to have some cushion all the way through. He can't fight from behind. Because if he fights from behind, he's going to take chances. And if he takes chances with the stronger Olajide, he's going to see the floor. He's going to see the canvas. He needs to be ahead in this fight. He needs to build up the lead.
Well, he just lost his lead by getting dropped in round 3.
He's got to start getting it back right now, partner. He's got to get things going very specifically. Get that jab working, get in, get out, give angles. Olajide is good at counterpuncher as he is. He needs to be set to be effective. Give him angles, keep him off balance, in and out.
I mentioned Jones has his father in his corner. Tokunbo Olajide was trained as an amateur by his father, Michael Sr., who works out of the Kingsway Gym in New York. He guided Michael Jr.'s career, but when Tokunbo turned pro, he decided to go in a different direction. A left hand again puts Jones down. Was not ruled a knockdown, but it sure looked like Jones took a knee, or at least the glove kept him from going down. But again, it's that powerful left hand from Olajide.
And again, it's Jones falling in, laying in front of Olajide. He has a tendency of reaching in a little bit. When you reach in with a counterpunch, you will wind up reaching the canvas.
Corner of Olajide yelling, body, body, body.
See, the funny thing here, Jones was doing a good job early in the round up to that point, Bob. Jones was keeping Olajide off balance. I thought building a lead, doing what he needed to do. But as I said earlier, the difficult factor for Jones is he needs to fight a perfect fight. He cannot afford to make mistakes. Olajide can make mistakes and still win.
And the other thing is, Jones not only has to fight perfectly, but it's not the sturdiest of chins.
He's been knocked out cold once before. Jones must cross all his T's, dot all his I's. Olajide can scribble and still pull this fight out.
Well, for the 2nd round in a row, Tokunbo Olajide has dropped Gary Jones. Well, it was not officially ruled a knockdown. He hit the ground on that punch.
So did I.
I scored it a knockdown. My book was a knockdown.
There was no doubt, though, what punch did he have. It was the left hook and what set it up. Jones reaching in. Olajide pulling the trigger. See, in spots, Jones will do well. I can see it coming again. Olajide better stop sticking that tongue out. He has a habit of doing it. His corner people need to get him out of that habit. He sticks his tongue out, and a punch comes, and his mouth closed. well, he could have a problem. Badly cut tongue. Jones Blue could lead some spots, as we were saying earlier. The problem is, Olajide has to erase it. The power to take that lead away.
You know, Olajide, when we asked him about consecutive knockout wins, 14 knockouts and 16 bouts instead, it puts way too much pressure when you have to fight perfectly every minute of every round to win. So I'm going for the knockout if it's there. And unfortunately for Jones, he does not have that power. He needs to be perfect for 3 minutes in every round. That's a lot of pressure.
Yes, it is. And there's the pressure of the right hand. Olajide showing he has power in both hands.
Third round in a row that Jones has been down. Although, once again, in the last shot, it was not officially ruled a knockout.
Like that, come to me.
Jones reaches in. That time, the right hand counter puts him down. Just watch this fight here, as far as it goes. Jones, when he gives angles, when he uses his jab, when he uses legs, he can be okay. He has a terrible habit of reaching in. And when he reaches in, he happens to be doing it tonight with a good counterpuncher.
Good jab there from Olajide that snapped back ahead of Gary Jones.
Well, that time, to the credit of Olajide, he's mixing it up a little bit, showing that he can do it two ways, not only counter, but lead with the jab and take control offensively in more ways than one. And once again, watch how Jones leans in. He leaned into an uppercut. Jones has a terrible habit of leaning forward. As he leans forward, he's paying the price.
Jones is in trouble again. He's already been down once, now twice here in round 5. And the referee stops it.
And well, to do that, the legs of Jones are rubber. Jones paying the price for that habit of reaching in, leaning in. Tonight, leaning in with the wrong man. Olajide, a man who can pull the trigger, a man who can counter, a man who can make you pay when you reach.
2:38 of round number 5. Tokunbo Olajide drops Gary Jones once in round 3, unofficially once in round 4, and then twice in round number 5. Gary Jones loses for the second time, both by way of knockout. And Tokunbo Olajide improves to 17-0. Gets his 15th stoppage. That's 9 consecutive knockout victories for Olajide, the 25-year-old from New York. Got off to a brutally slow start. Landed just 11 punches in the first 2 rounds. Jones was boxing and boxing, but then Olajide let the power go. Let's take a look at the first knockdown of round number 5. First knockdown of round number 5, Teddy.
I think once again, you're going to see on the outside is okay. He reaches in a little bit and gets countered over that slow jab. The jab is out there too long. Olajide shows he can punch with the right hand as well as the left hook. And here's the end. Jones has a habit of leaning in a little bit. Olajide showed that he can change the punches, has a repertoire of punches, switches to the right blow, the right uppercut.
You know, you mentioned slow jab. Gary Jones in round 5 was 0 for 11 with his jab, and it was slow. And Tokunbo Olajide made him pay. In the fight, Olajide lands 48% of his power shots, and that was after a slow start. But Tokunbo Olajide had the speed to match Jones, and he had something that Gary Jones unfortunately does not have, and that's power. And Olajide was able to overcome a slow start, maybe uninspired early on, but the power was what did in Gary Jones.
The power and the technique. Olajide shows he's a prospect, shows he knows how to fight.
Good, solid win for Tokunbo Olajide at 2:38 of round number 5. He stops Gary Jones for knockout number 15. Here's Brian Max.
You know, it's funny just looking at him there up close. You know, they say in boxing, your attitude is what you see in the mirror. He's ripped. I mean, he's in top shape. Your report card on this fight.
Well, Teddy just said, you know, he showed, or Bob who said, you know, shows he's a prospect. I think he'd already shown he's a prospect. I think Tokunbo showed tonight that it's going to be pretty tough from stopping him from becoming a real legitimate contender. Brian and I were watching the fight earlier, and Brian goes, you know, Max, looking at the difference between him and Michael, I'm going to steal your line now. Looks like this guy has more fast twitch muscle fibers. It's exactly what it looks like. Tokunbo is one of those prospects, not only with the punching power and the hand speed, but that certain kind of electricity that you like to see in the prospects, that putting it together where he can kind of just, as Teddy and Bob said earlier in the broadcast, dictate what's going on, just create it out of nothing. And not that Gary Jones is the greatest fighter in the world, but the way Olajide just beat him up was very impressive.
Yeah, I even threw in Fernando Vargas. I wasn't even taking it seriously. And you're saying, well, maybe you could take that seriously.
Well, it's a little early still. Obviously, he's not experienced enough. But is he a guy where top junior middleweights are now thinking, oh, yeah, let's throw in an in-between nothing fight with Tokunbo Olajide? No. He's a guy where Olajide's people are thinking right now, let's position him for a multi-million-dollar run if possible.
All right, we'll take a break right now here on Friday Night Fights. When we return, we will talk to the winner of tonight's main event, Tokunbo Olajide. We'll be back right after this.
Gary Jones at 238 of round number 5. He dropped him in round number 3 with a perfectly placed left hand, and that was the start of the bad news for Jones. Both Teddy and I agree that Olajide dropped Jones in round 4. It wasn't ruled a knockdown. He dropped him twice in round 5, and here is how it finishes up. Olajide just moves in for the kill, finishes him off, and the referee does a good job in stopping the fight. And Tokunbo Olajide joins us right now, and it's a good, solid victory for you. He got off to a slow start. What were you thinking in those first 2 rounds?
We've got 10 rounds to play, you know what I mean? To play and explore and see what there is to be seen. I haven't had the opportunity to go a lot of rounds. I just want to really take my time because, as I said, there were 10 of them, and I just feel truly blessed. Good boxer. I was glad I was able to see some things and get them out.
Teddy?
You're a good counterpuncher. You have good talent. You're a real prospect, no doubt about it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Are you concerned at all about when guys don't kind of cooperate and come into your strength, which is your counterpunching, where you have to work a little bit more on creating offense in different ways?
Well, for me, the point right now is to be an aggressive counterpuncher. So if you don't want to punch, that's fine. You want to punch, you're in as much trouble, you know. So I'm definitely looking to move forward, and you know, and I think I was working some of that stuff out in there this evening to get really comfortable, because this is really where you learn. You can practice in the gym, but this is really where.
What are you going to do when a guy don't walk into your counters? What are you going to do?
I'm going to go to him and keep chopping. I'm going to go to him, and I didn't even get off as much as I've practiced and as much as I would like to. So you know, and I think that fighting a better class of opposition will allow me that opportunity, because guys are not going to just say, here it is.
No, they're not.
Me, you know?
No, they're not.
But I'll get them to. I'll find it. And not because it's there looking at me, but because by letting your hands go, it all falls into place.
And finally, early in the fight, we listened to your corner, and they were saying, stay in the pocket. He can't hurt you. And you finally did settle in there a little bit, and then you were able to just take him. Did you realize that he didn't have any power on his punches?
Well, I really do not try to concern myself with the opponent. I say that over and over again. This is about me, what it is that I need to execute to get to the next stage. So, you know, just because somebody is not can't hurt me, or he can hurt me, if he's gonna run, I still have to go to him. And it's about, you know, negotiating that terrain. So, you know, even if he is winging, I won't be where the bombs land.
All right, he is a Renaissance man, and tonight he played taps on Gary Jones as he finished him off in round number 5. 4 knockdowns in the fight. Olajide gets another victory. Olajide gets his 9th consecutive knockout victory, and he is on the road to stardom. We send it back to Brian and Max.